on why this way of thinking costs you so much and how a simple mindset shift can put you on the real path to wealth.
Okay, let's paint a picture here. You've just left the grocery store, you get in the car, and then it hits you. You forgot that coupon. And that tiny missed saving, just a couple of bucks, feels like a total failure, doesn't it? It just gnaws at you the whole drive home.
And this is where things get kind of crazy. This highlights the complete disconnect of being cheap. We get all emotionally twisted up over saving $2, but we completely ignore the gigantic financial decisions that are actually sinking us, like, a car payment that's way too high. This is the whole paradox of being cheap.
So, that obsession with pennies, that's the cheap mentality in action. And we've got to be really clear about something. This isn't logic. It's not some calculated move. It's an emotional gut reaction that comes from a place of fear. And, as you're about to see, it is an incredibly expensive way to think.
Okay, let's put this to the test with a classic example. You see a gas station on the other side of town, and it's 10 cents cheaper per gallon. Driving all the way over there feels like the responsible thing to do. But is it really? Let's actually do the math.
So, you fill up your 15-gallon tank, and after all that effort, what do you get? A whopping $1.50. And on the surface, you feel great, right? You feel like you've won, like you've outsmarted the system.
But here's the thing. That feeling of victory, it's totally an illusion. Because once we start looking at the hidden costs of that trip, that little saving just disappears. So here's the real cost. That 30-minute round trip burned about a gallon of gas. That's almost $4 right there. But more importantly, what about your time? I mean, let's be conservative and say it's worth $25 an hour. That's another $12.50. So you didn't save $1.50, you actually spent nearly $15 just for the feeling of saving money. Think about that.
You see, this isn't really a math problem, it's a psychology problem. The cheap mentality is a master of distraction. It makes us sweat all the small stuff, and in the process, it burns up our most valuable resource, our mental energy.
We've all heard this one, right? Just skip that $5 coffee and you'll become a millionaire. And yeah, sure, you save about $1,800 a year, but that's not going to change your life. It's just a distraction that makes us feel like we're in control while we ignore the real holes in our financial boat.
And this chart, well, it shows exactly where all that energy goes. Your brain only has so much juice for making good decisions each day. And when you spend most of it agonizing over which cereal to buy or where to get the cheapest gas, you have almost nothing left for the stuff that actually moves the needle.
And that's called decision fatigue. By the time you need to think about the big things like negotiating your salary or choosing a career path or making a huge investment, your brain is just tired. You've wasted all your processing power on totally trivial choices.
So, what's the solution? How do we get out of this trap? It's all about shifting to a much more strategic and frankly more profitable way of thinking about money. And it's not about spending more, it's about thinking differently.
The huge difference between these two mindsets really just boils down to one simple question. The cheap mindset is obsessed with the immediate cost. It only asks, how much does this cost? But the wealthy mindset sees money as a tool, and it asks a totally different question. What's the return on this investment? And that cheap thinking, it all comes from something called a scarcity mindset. It's this deep-down belief that resources are limited, that there's never going to be enough money or time or opportunity, and because of that, every single dollar you spend feels like a permanent loss that you can never get back.
The words you use literally reinforce who you are. Saying, I can't afford that, is a statement of powerlessness. You're making yourself a victim. But if you just switch the language to, I'm choosing not to spend on that, it's a statement of control. It's strategy. Same outcome, but a completely different psychology.
Okay, so let's get practical with this. How do we actually apply this wealthy mindset to our everyday financial decisions? How do we know when to spend and when it's better to save?
Well, being cheap often means refusing to invest in your most important asset, yourself. And that saving has massive long-term costs. Skipping a course could keep you in a low-paying job forever. Ignoring a dental cleaning can turn into a huge, painful bill later. Buying cheap stuff that breaks just costs you more time and money in the long run. It can even hurt your reputation and close you off from opportunities.
So here's a super simple but really powerful framework. Before you make a purchase, ask yourself these 3 questions. If the answer to any of them is yes, then it's probably not just an expense, it's an investment. It's a strategic move that's going to pay you back in time, money, or peace of mind. And this all leads to the single most important realization in personal finance.
It's about making that crucial shift from playing defense with your money to playing offense.
Think about it for a second. There is a hard limit, a ceiling, on how much you can save. You can only cut your spending down to zero. But your earning potential? It's unlimited. There is absolutely no ceiling on how much you can grow your income.
You simply cannot shrink your way to wealth. It's impossible. You can only grow your way there. The real game isn't about pinching every single penny. It's about building the machine, your skills, your network, your career that generates more and more income.
So, the final question is for you. Take a good look at your own financial habits. Are you playing a defensive game, protecting every last penny at the cost of your time and your energy? Or are you ready to start playing offense and use your resources strategically to grow something much, much bigger?